Nightline with me, Ahmad Hamdan. The top stories. Ringgit's current level does not reflect Malaysian economy's positive outlook, says Bank Negara. And Apex Court upholds vernacular schools' validity. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) said that the current level of the ringgit does not reflect the positive prospects of the Malaysian economy going forward. Its Governor, Dato' Abdul Rashid Ghaffur, said the recent performance of the ringgit, similar to other regional currencies, has been influenced by external factors. In a statement to address the issue on Tuesday, Abdul Rashid assured that Malaysia's economic growth in 2024 will be driven by the improvement in external demand and strong domestic spending. He also highlighted the latest International Monetary Fund (IMF) forecast, which indicates a global trade growth of 3.3% in 2024 compared to 0.4% in 2023. Malaysia's exports have also shown steady improvement since the fourth quarter of 2023 and was up 8.7% based on the January 2024 figures released recently. Abdul Rashid added the tourism sector had recovered strongly, with tourist arrivals in 2024 expected to exceed the pre-pandemic levels of 26 million. Investment momentum has also picked up with the implementation of approved projects both in the private and public sectors. Abdul Rashid pointed out that most analysts are also forecasting for the ringgit to appreciate this year based on these positive developments and the government's commitment to implement structural reforms, as well as the expected lowering of interest rates in advanced economies. The governor was responding to media reports on Tuesday, highlighting that the currency had dropped to its lowest against the US dollar since 1998. According to the central bank, some of the factors that affected the ringgit's performance include market adjustment to changing US interest rate expectations, geopolitical concerns, and uncertainties surrounding China's economic prospects. Now, two non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have lost their final legal bid to challenge the validity of vernacular schools and the use of Mandarin and Tamil languages as mediums of teaching in those schools. This after a three-member bench of federal court judges led by Dato' Mary Lim Tiam Swan in a 2-1 majority decision dismissed the application by both NGOs to pursue their appeal at the Apex Court on Tuesday. In delivering the majority decision, Lim said both appellants, the Islamic Education Development Council, MAPIM, and Confederation of Malaysian Writers Association, GAPENA, failed to satisfy the top court to use its discretion to grant them leave and hear the appeal as required under Section 96 of the Courts of Judicature Act. Other members of the bench were Dato' Rozariah Bujang and Dato' Abdul Karim Abdul Jalil. The applicants are seeking to appeal against a decision by the Court of Appeal on November 23rd last year, declaring the use of Mandarin and Tamil as mediums of instruction in vernacular schools as constitutional. The appellate court said schools were neither statutory nor public authorities, and the use of Mandarin and Tamil had existed even before the promulgation and adoption of the federal constitution. The court also said the use of Mandarin and Tamil in national-type schools as mediums of instruction was protected by Article 152(1)(b) of the Federal Constitution, which mandates the government preserve and sustain the use and study of languages of other communities in the country. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has advised today's leaders against being avaricious and arrogant like the officers of the countries that once colonized this nation. He said current leaders must not behave like that if they are sincere about wanting to build Malaysia towards a better future.
Ini juga peringatan kepada pemimpin-pemimpin yang memikul amanah sekarang supaya belajar daripada elemen dan ciri yang positif dan baik daripada mereka dan tidak terheret dengan amalan, kerakusan, keangkuhan, kegelojohan pegawai-pegawai penjajah.
Anwar also said that the next generation should strive to elevate the dignity of the country to a higher level and develop the economy so that the people can live more comfortably. He said this during his speech at the 68th anniversary of the Independence Declaration of the Federation of Malaya celebration at the Proclamation of Independence Memorial in Bandar Hile, Malacca on Tuesday night. Also present were the Yang di-Pertua Negeri of Malacca Tun Muhammad Ali Muhammad Rustam, Chief Minister Datuk Seri Abdul Rauf Yusof, as well as Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Seri Tiong King Sing. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister said the unity government will continue upholding the special position and privileges accorded to bumiputras as enshrined in the federal constitution. Anwar said there was no need to review the article, despite calls made by a PKR Member of Parliament to do so.
So, NPPKR ada minta kaji balik fasa perkara 153, minta komen status ni? It's okay. Hah? Stay. Terima kasih. Okay, ringgit atau
Anwar told this to the media after launching an event at Sasana Kijang Complex in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday. He was commenting on the suggestion made recently by Pasir Gudang MP Hassan Abdul Karim, who had called for a review of bumiputra privileges under Article 153, as he questioned if it had benefited the intended group. In a posting on his Facebook page on Sunday, Hassan had also raised concerns if the policy had been hijacked and manipulated by certain bumiputra elites.
Dive into the pulse of Pulau Pinang's economic vision. What's the driving force behind the Pearl of the Orient's impressive growth? And what's the state's key strategies and future plans?
Join me as I will be speaking about Pulau Pinang as the investment powerhouse in this country.
This Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Now, freedom of expression in the media will continue to be safeguarded with the launch of the Malaysian Code of Ethics for Journalists. Communications Minister Fahmi Fazil said the Code of Ethics for Journalists has existed since 1989 and it has now been improved in keeping with the times.
Kita hanya menambah baik memandangkan ada beberapa perkara. Sebagai contoh, kalau kita teliti, perkara ke-8, wartawan perlu memberi keutamaan untuk meningkatkan kemahiran kewartawanan secara berterusan, antara lain sebab perkembangan teknologi.
Fahmi said this after launching the Malaysian Code of Ethics for Journalists in Putrajaya on Tuesday. The Malaysian Code of Ethics for Journalists is an initiative of the Ministry of Communications through the Malaysian Information Department, or JAPEN, and it outlines 8 main responsibilities of journalists. Apart from the responsibility for being the voice of a pluralistic society, as well as agents facilitating dialogue, journalists must be transparent and have integrity when carrying out their duties. They are also encouraged to consistently strive to be fair in delivering information and not be influenced by personal interests. The early incentive payment of the Public Service Remuneration System study to be disbursed this Friday will motivate civil servants to work as a team to build Malaysia Madani. Housing and Local Government Minister Nga Koh Ming said that Malaysia Madani aspirations will not be achieved if there is no cooperation and support from civil servants.
Sebagai penjawat awam, kita harus fokus dalam tanggungjawab sebagai benteng pertahanan terakhir negara. Bukan sahaja menyelesaikan masalah dan melaksanakan polisi untuk memenuhi keperluan semasa di negara, tetapi juga mencorak masa depan dan memenuhi potensi negara yang tercinta.
Speaking at the Madani Muhibah program in Putrajaya on Tuesday, Nga said that Malaysia Madani aspires to build a sustainable and prosperous Malaysia based on care, compassion, mutual respect, innovation and trust. The early incentive payment amounting to 2,000 ringgit will be disbursed to all civil servants in grade 56 and below, including contract appointees, while 1,000 ringgit will be paid to those in the Jawatan Utama Sektor Awam, involving the police, fire and rescue department, armed forces and all uniformed personnel. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, on Tuesday attended the pre-council meeting of the Conference of Rulers at Istana Negara. The 265th meeting of the Conference of Rulers will be held for 2 days, beginning Wednesday. The meeting will be presided over by the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah. Also present during the pre-council meeting were Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah, and Sultan of Terengganu, Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin. Defeated Indonesian election candidates call for parliamentary probe. News from the foreign front when we return.
Tujuan mereka pergi ke Madinah ini sebenarnya untuk membai'ah Habib Shah ini sebagai Imam Mahdi.
Bersama kira-kira 300 pengikutnya telah ke Arab Saudi.
Dan dihantar pulang, diusir balik ke Malaysia dan tinggallah pengikutnya itu.
Dan tak sempat untuk pulang ke Malaysia, melahirkan anaknya di dalam bilik hotel.
Sampai tahap makan sup kentang, survival mereka di sana lah.
Bila harus berdiri di atas kaki sendiri? Pada usia berapa yang kena berdikari? Isnin nanti. Ikan bilis antara menu pembuka selera. Nantikan pelbagai menu berasaskan ikan bilis Selasa ini. Pura-pura bahagia, hakikatnya diri tersiksa. Keganasan dalam rumah tangga, Rabu nanti. Ramai yang ambil mudah masalah pedih ulu hati. Dan apa pula kaitannya dengan masalah gastrik dan juga masalah jantung? Jangan ambil mudah. Romantisnya diorang tu. Tayang bahagia nampak? Semuanya di WSHA TV3 dan stream secara HD ditonton.
Assalamualaikum. Jangan dibuang. Ayah betapa di Gunung Jerai.
Saya cemburu. Saya tak nak kahwin dengan awak. Pergi masuk dalam.
Kenapa semua orang benci kat aku?
Saya Chef Papa, merupakan chef kegemaran seluruh rakyat Malaysia.
Can I talk to you, Menaga?
Check in untuk jenaka 5 bintang dengan Boleh Saya Bantu setiap Khamis hingga Sabtu 9 malam di Lestari TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. In The Hague, arguments are continuing at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, where Palestinians and more than 50 countries and organizations are testifying against Israel's occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza. On Tuesday, South African Representative Vusimuzi Madonsela gave his briefing before the court, saying Israel needs to allow the Palestinians to exercise their right to self-determination. He stressed that the Israeli violence and attacks on Gaza contradict international law, and that the Israeli attacks are more horrific than the Israel said that the United Nations resolutions explicitly stipulate an end to the Israeli occupation, and that it is an illegal and illegitimate occupation, and that the occupation is the reason behind all recorded crimes. Brazil's representative also concluded their statement by saying that Brazil has been consistently advocating for a two-state solution that allows for the creation of an independent, sovereign and economically viable Palestinian state, coexisting with Israel in peace and security. Israel is not attending the hearings, but sent a 5-page written statement, saying an advisory opinion would be harmful to attempt to resolve the conflict because questions posed by the UN General Assembly are prejudiced. Two unsuccessful candidates in last week's Indonesian presidential election have urged Parliament to look into complaints of irregularities in the run-up to the event. Anies Baswedan, a former governor of the capital Jakarta, said on Tuesday his camp was ready to participate in a parliamentary inquiry that allows lawmakers to investigate government actions after Ganjar Pranowo, the former governor of Central Java, urged an inquiry when Parliament reconvenes on March 5th. However, Without providing evidence, both losing camps have complained of voter intimidation, manipulation of state institutions and misuse of state resources, such as welfare funds, during the campaign period to sway the election outcome. Anies and Ganjar are projected to have secured 25% and 17% respectively, with a preliminary count by election authorities showing a similar breakdown. With official results only due by March 20th, unofficial counts show Defence Minister Prabowo Subianto won the race in a single round of voting with about 58% of votes. The military in Guinea late on Monday has dissolved the interim government in the West African nation and said it will appoint a new administration. Military leaders released a video statement to say that directors of cabinet, secretary-generals and their deputies would be in charge until a new government was formed. In the pre-recorded video, the presidency's secretary-general, Amara Kamara, was seen flanked by other military officials and several armed and masked soldiers while delivering the unexpected news. So far, it is still unclear how the dissolution, which Kamara did not provide a reason for, would immediately affect the country or who the senior members of the new government would be. The military took power in a coup in September 2021 after the country's first democratically elected president, Alpha Condé, was deposed. More than 1,600 trainee doctors at some of South Korea's major hospitals have stopped work in protests against a government plan to boost admissions into medical schools. The walkout on Tuesday, in defiance of government orders to stay at work, followed the previous day's mass resignation of about 6,500 of the 13,000 doctors and interns at large hospitals, causing considerable delays to surgical procedures and treatment. President Yoon Suk-yeol, however, said the government would not back down over the necessary reforms, which he described as an essential measure to prepare for caring of the country's fast-aging population. Previously, it was announced that the government wants to boost medical school admissions by 2,000 from the 2025 academic year, against a current annual figure of about 3,000, and eventually at 10,000 more by 2035. But doctors have voiced fierce opposition to the plan to sharply raise medical school admissions, claiming it would hurt the quality of service. Al-Nada fight back to beat Al-Rifah. Sports after this breather.
Setakat nak menyanyi dan menyamar macam ni, buat uji bakat online pun boleh je kan? Boleh! Sesiapa sahaja boleh sertai uji bakat I Can See Your Voice Malaysia musim ke-7. Hantarkan video anda menyanyi, tak kiralah suara sedap atau sumbang, di www.tonton.com.my/ICSYVMY. Pastikan anda warga negara Malaysia berumur 15 tahun ke atas dan tarikh tutup penyertaan pada 20 Februari 2024. Inilah masanya untuk buktikan yang anda boleh mengelirukan rakyat Malaysia.
Menarik dalam MHI sepanjang minggu ini.
Kes pertindaian Undang-Undang Persekutuan dan Negeri ramai yang keliru. Apa kupasannya?
Kesihatan dengan ujian serangan awal cegah sebelum terlambat.
Waspada risiko kebakaran, banyak faktor keselamatan yang perlu diambil kira.
Diskusi menarik dalam soal wang bercakap tentang zakat emas.
Semua ini dan banyak lagi.
MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat 9.30 pagi di TV3.
Dan juga stream secara HD di Tonton.
Cinta Amir teruji di saat Salina pergi meninggalkannya.
Kau bagi tahu aku mana kau seorang anak bini aku? Manalah aku tahu, itu kan anak dengan bekas isteri kau. Kau jangan main gila dengan aku.
Halijah masih membawa dendam yang belum padam.
Saya kau boleh menang ke?
Kau tanya lelaki kau ni. Perempuan ni sebenarnya bekas banduan.
Konflik kembali memuncak dalam Rindu Kasih musim kedua. Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam di Samarinda TV3.
Sports football, the 2023-24 AFC Cup. Oman's Al Nahda beat Bahrain's Al Rifah 3-1 after extra time to wrap up a 4-2 aggregate victory in the West Zonal semi-final on Tuesday. Al Rifah took the lead in the 33rd minute when Ali Hassan Said Hassan Ali Issa fired a scorcher into the top corner, but the hosts fought back and equalised through Walter Bwalia 14 minutes after the break. Neither side could make the breakthrough within 90 minutes, but Hamud Salih Said Al Sadi finally put Al Nahda in front 4 minutes into extra time. Al Nahda completed their comeback when Isam Abdullah Saif Al Sabi pinched the ball away from the Al Rifah's goalkeeper and rolled it into the empty net. Al Nahda will face either Iraq's Al Karabah or Al Ahad of Lebanon in the two-leg West Zonal final in April. Liga Portugal now. Sporting Lisbon move level at the top of the league following a comfortable 2-0 win away at Moreirense on Tuesday. The visitors broke the deadlock just 2 minutes into the game when Hidemasa Morita bundled home an inviting corner delivery before Pedro Gonçalves secured the 2-0 victory by finishing a beautiful cutback pass from Francisco Trincao. Moreirense barely threatened Sporting, with Madsen de Souza Silva's second-half strike sailing high over the bar, one of the few off-target attempts that was in vain. With this win, Sporting now have 55 points, but Ruben Amorim's men still have a game in hand over Benfica. And on to tennis, the 2024 Dubai Tennis Championships. Elina Svitolina's latest bid for a third title got underway with a straight sets win over fellow Ukrainian Anelina Kalinina on Monday. The world number 20 outlasted 32nd ranked Kalinina 6-3, 7-6 to reach the second round in Dubai for the 7th time in her career. Svitolina, however, had to erase 3 set points in the second set before closing out the 1 hour and 40-minute victory. The Dubai champion in 2017 and 2018 will meet Germany's Tatjana Maria in the next round. In another match, Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko came back from a set down to beat Chinese qualifier Wang Xiyu. Despite losing the first set 5-7, the number 9 seed fought back and clinched the other 2 sets 6-2, 6-3 in a thrilling match that lasted more than 2 hours. Ostapenko, ranked number 9, will play Switzerland's wildcard Lulu Sun next. Coming up, superbikes worth over 1 million ringgit seized.
Tapi nasib baik, saya tak pergi umrah ke, saya tak pergi pindah Dubai ke.
Okay, awak nak ke saya panggil nama penuh awak?
Hei, awak jangan lebih. Awak kalau panggil nama penuh saya sama nama penuh saya, hari inilah saya jadi driver awak.
I rasa sekarang ni I macam makin jauh dari dia.
Dapat tengok laut, dapat tengok awak.
My Lovely Driver setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat 7 malam di Akasia TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
मैं चाहता हूँ ये खाने का मेज मामूली के लिए पहुँच जाए। आज इसी की वजह से मैं लोगों की मदद कर पा रहा हूँ। अभी के अभी इसी वक्त 40 चोरों का खजाना मेरे सामने आ जाए
तो हमारे पास भी है।
हाँ, ध्यान है आपका मरियम।
Alibaba, Dustin di Kabul. Setiap Isnin hingga Khamis 4 petang di Sonia TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. The Perlis Customs Department seized 9 high-powered motorcycles worth 1.13 million ringgit, including tax, and arrested a man at the Wang Kelian Immigration Customs, Quarantine and Security ICQS complex on January 16th. State Customs Director Ismail Hashim said the motorcycles valued at 416,500 ringgit, with unpaid taxes estimated at over 715,000 ringgit, and with no registration numbers, were seized from a transport vehicle during an inspection at the ICQS complex at about 5 p.m.
Dokumen yang kita minta tak dapat lah. Jadi kita dalam siasatan lah ni. Kita khawatiri benda-benda yang melibatkan tiada permit dan tiada kelulusan lah. Dan siasatan lanjut sedang dijalankan. Dan untuk yang orang yang tangkapan tadi kita jamin lah dengan RM2,000 jaminan custom.
Ismail said that the 37-year-old man is believed to be a representative of the transport company that brought in the motorcycles. The modus operandi involved bringing in the motorcycles under the guise of participating in races at the Sepang circuit in Selangor. Initial investigations found that all the motorcycles, including the Honda CBR 1000RR, BMW S1000RR, Yamaha R1, Aprilia RSV4 and MV Augusta models, had no valid import permits or tax documents. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act. Meanwhile, the Police Customs Department also seized ketum leaves weighing 230 kilograms and valued at 2,300 ringgit, found hidden in a modified pickup truck driven by a 16-year-old local boy. Ismail said that this was a teenager's first attempt at smuggling ketum leaves using the truck with a Thai registration number, which was halted at the exit lane of the Wang Kelian ICQS complex at 11 a.m. on February 15th. Based on initial investigations, it was believed that the teenager was working part-time for a smuggling syndicate, earning around 10 ringgit per trip to transport ketum leaves from the Wang Kelian area across the Malaysia-Thailand border. The seizure, including the pickup truck, is estimated to be worth 110,000 ringgit. The school-going teenager was released on customs bail of 10,000 ringgit, and the case is being investigated under the Poison Act. In another case, the State Customs Department also seized over 20 kilograms of cannabis after it was found floating in the waters of Sungai Buletin near Kuala Perlis at 4:30 a.m. on the same day. The 20 compressed blocks of dried cannabis leaves, which were found in a sack, are estimated to be worth 62,000 ringgit. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act.
Tujuan mereka pergi ke Madinah ini sebenarnya untuk membai'ah Habib Shah ini sebagai Imam Mahdi.
Bersama kira-kira 300 pengikutnya telah ke Arab Saudi.
Dan dihantar pulang, diusir balik ke Malaysia dan tinggallah pengikutnya itu.
Dan tak sempat untuk pulang ke Malaysia, melahirkan anaknya di dalam bilik hotel.
Sampai tahap makan sup kentang, sup survival mereka di sana lah.
In Negeri Sembilan, police said 2 of the 3 bodies that were discovered hanging from a fan in a house in Lenggeng, Nilai on Monday night have been found to have strangulation marks on their necks. District Police Chief Superintendent Abdul Malik Hasim said the autopsy on the 3 victims so far has not detected any other wounds on their bodies. However, authorities have not ruled out criminal elements in the case.
Unsur jenayah itu tetap wujud. Secara logik kalau kita fikir budak yang meninggal itu umur 3 tahun dan juga 6 tahun, kemungkinan diorang untuk menggantung diri sendiri itu adalah susah. Dan pula tergantung atas kipas. Dan kita percaya, pihak polis percaya ada orang yang menggantung budak ni lah, 3 dan 6 tahun ni. Waktu kita teruskan siasatan di bawah Seksyen 302 kanun keseksaan lah.
Said they have obtained a 4-day remand order until Friday against a technician in his 30s to assist investigations in the case. The suspect was arrested at 1 a.m. on Tuesday after police were alerted to the discovery of the bodies of his 34-year-old wife and two daughters, aged 3 and 6, just hours earlier. The bodies were sent to the Forensic Division of Tuanku Jaafar Hospital for autopsy. And that wraps up this edition of Nightline. Before we leave, let's take a look as almost 1,000 people took part in a light run during the annual Copenhagen Light Festival, braving the rain and brightening up the dark city. The festival, now in its 7th year, featured illuminated bridges and buildings as well as light art scattered around the city. With that, I'm Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe.